Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at the Dell XPS 12. This is a 12.5-inch Windows 8 convertible. Looks like a normal Ultrabook, doesn't it? Carbon fiber, really cool. Magnesium palm rest area right here. Nice chiclet keyboard. But turn it on its side, take a look at what the screen does. A lot like the old Dell Duo, but much better quality than the Dell Duo. We do that, and we do that, and we have ourselves a tablet computer. We're going to look at it now. So this is the Dell XPS 12. This is an Ultrabook and it's a tablet, so we'll call it a convertible, and it runs Windows 8. Obviously we've got the live tile interface here, and the first thing that's pretty striking is the novel design, where we have this guy hanging like it's on an easel. And you can only push it in one direction, and magnets hold it in place, so it feels a little firm, and you can hear, in fact, listen to that sound, it slams back in place. The magnets are pretty darn firm, so is the hinge. So it's one of those you can actually poke at without too much wobble. There's a little bit. But anyway, here's the interesting thing. You do that. Nice carbon fiber lid right here, inverted. Close it up, and you've got yourself a tablet. So one of those best of both worlds kind of machines. Now the Dell is a 12.5-inch across machine, weighs 3.35 pounds, and it has a full HD IPS display with Gorilla Glass. Gorilla Glass is great, it makes it more durable. The only thing is you're going to get a little bit more glare, I find, off of Gorilla Glass, but the full HD IPS display, beautiful sharp colors, wide viewing angles, text is razor sharp. Obviously if you like to edit images in something like Photoshop, you're going to have a very clear view of that image. Loving that feature. The machine starts at $11.99, and for that you get the usual Core i5 1.7 GHz ULV CPU, that's your standard Ultrabook CPU, 4 gigs of DDR3 RAM, and 120 gig SSD. If you want to move up to a 256 gig SSD, that's going to cost you $1,500, and the top of the line model is $1,700. That gets you a Core i7, still ULV CPU, and the 256 gig SSD. So cheap, it's not. Well made, it is. Again, we've got the magnesium alloy deck over here, soft touch painted finish, carbon fiber bottom and top. Looks a lot like the XPS 12, and we've got the same little pop-open door here. Pretty stiff to pop it up, but you've got your service tag information here and your Windows license key underneath. Here's your air vents. Ridge design, a little bit raised here and here to allow the ventilation to actually do its thing. Top, really cool looking carbon fiber with aluminum, it's got an aluminum frame. So high quality product, feels sturdy. This reminds me again of the XPS 12 and even the XPS 15. This feels like something you could bash a burglar with. It's really that solid. And the whole hinge assembly, very, as I said, stiff, which is an important thing with the tablet because you're going to be poking at it. And it's a big, wide hinge assembly that connects all the way across here. And the magnets really do a good job. As you can see, I'm tapping on pretty hard. You can hear them just slightly starting to come loose, but not fully. You really have to have a concerted push if you want to do the display swivel. Taking a look at the display, you can see how thin that panel is. That's really something, right? It's also a little bit spooky. You feel like this must be a little bit delicate. Not that it's not well made, but anything that is, well, glass and that thin can make you a little worried. And the attachment points hanging here, easel style, fairly teeny little points, and the wires actually run through here that power the display and that run touch sensors and all that kind of thing. I certainly haven't had any problems with it, but I do worry about something like this standing up over the years. Probably it'll be fine, but gives you a little something to worry about. Good looking machine, definitely. Not too heavy to hold. Of course, if you're holding it as a tablet, it's not going to be light like an iPad, which is 1.5 pounds versus 3 1/3 pounds here, but as convertible tablets go, not bad. If we take a look at the side, you can see we have our rotation lock button here, our 3.5mm combo headphone mic jack. This is the power switch right here. It's a little slider button. And here's our volume controls on the side. And they're over here as well as on the keyboard deck, but they're here so when you're using in tablet mode, you can still control volume. That's pretty much standard with all the tablets we've seen. Has stereo speakers. There's a speaker grill right here, and there's one just like it on the other side. Right there. Pretty decent audio. We'll play something for you soon so you can hear it. Little button here that you can poke, and you can see the battery health indicated, the charge amount via LEDs. 2 USB 3.0 ports right here, side by side, kind of close together. So if you're using something oversized like a 3G, 4G modem dongle, you might find it bumps into the other one. and one of these in sleep and charge port, and we have a mini display port here. And Dell went with that not just to annoy you folks who love HDMI, but because it's more versatile. It can drive higher than 1080p resolution monitors. You can get a variety of adapters to work with different connectors, including for about 20 or 15 bucks. You can get a mini display port to HDMI adapter, so you can do that as well. And of course, you can also get an adapter that outputs VGA. So small connector, pretty versatile. And this is where the power plugs in right there. It is a sealed design. The battery is not easily removable. Of course, you could unscrew all the screws in the bottom and start taking this apart to your heart's content, but they don't really intend for you to be ripping it apart yourself. And as we take a look inside again, we have really nice chiclet backlit keyboard here. Ambient light sensor for that. Also, there's an ambient light sensor for the display, which you can disable. I find this a little bit like Samsung tablets and convertibles. It's a little bit twitchy. It kind of goes bright, goes dark, goes bright, goes dark sometimes. So you can disable that. Though Dell says you can save an hour to an hour and a half in battery life depending on your various other settings if you do leave the ambient light sensor on. Let's take a little bit more look at the keyboard. And this is as far back as the display goes, by the way. So here we've got our nice island or chiclet style keyboard, sculpted keys, very nice. Fairly large trackpad here, buttonless style. Made by Cypress. Some people complain about the drivers and about multi-touch. It's been working fine for me. It is an odd kind of rattly thing though. I'll tell you, it really isn't loose, but it makes a hollow kind of sound, so you feel like it's rattling a little bit. Not my favorite part there when it does that, but it actually gets the job done just fine. Of course, you can touch the screen. You don't have to use that, but it can be convenient when you're doing something word processing. Certainly to stay down here at the deck. FN row up here for controlling your multimedia settings and other stuff. Otherwise, pretty much your standard keyboard. Just really, really nice keyboard. And this is running Windows 8. You can order it with your choice of Windows 8 or Windows 8 Professional. I think Windows 8 is just fine for most folks. You have your live tile interface over here. Quick and easy to use, and the usual set of built-in applications. We have Nifty Weather, we have a lovely news application, there's an email client, a video player, works with Xbox Live service also, and a music player that works to play your own locally stored media and Xbox content. And here we have the very rich Bing News app, and you can see how responsive that is. Just really, really fast. The Core i5 does a good job here of handling pretty much any task that we've thrown at it within reason. Now, this is not a serious workstation. This is an Ultrabook, folks. So just fine for going to use Photoshop up to CS6 on this. I had no trouble at all working with some large raw files. You can do some 1080p video editing. I would really prefer a more powerful machine if I had the choice. Light gaming, just fine. You're not going to play Crysis 2 on this because it does not have dedicated graphics. This uses Intel HD 4000 graphics, but certainly capable enough to play casual games, older games, and even some of the more forgiving recent 3D games like Left 4 Dead 2. We've got a home button here. That's standard on all Windows machines with touchscreens, so you can either hit that or you can hit the Windows button on your keyboard to get back home again. And if you want to get to your traditional Windows desktop, because this is indeed a full Windows machine, here it is right here. Everything that you're used to, pretty much like Windows 7, except the start menu is gone unless you add your own third-party utility to revive it again. And if you want to get to all of your programs, you simply swipe in and you can get to settings over here. Search, which really, you can use it to search, but also is a great way to see all the programs that are installed. Now, because this is running at 1080p, you can see that these icons are fairly small. It's still very readable. It's a very sharp HD screen. And you can adjust the size by doing it the standard Windows 7 style here. You can set your fonts, and we're at 125% right now. Everything is pretty easy to see and pretty easy on the eyes as a result. But if you go to 100%, your icons do get kind of teeny. So not as much font scaling goes on here versus in this interface, where Windows always works to make sure that things are about the same size that is text and images or across different resolutions. Dell doesn't load too much bloatware on here, thank goodness. So our 128 gig SSD has about 70 gigs free after installing the MS 2010 Trial Edition, activating that. You can see we've got Kindle on board, we've got some shortcuts to Dell, we've got some Dell utilities, and not too much else has been added on by them. When it comes to benchmarks, you can see right here we still have our PC Mark 7 score up, 4678, certainly respectable. Pretty much typical for what we'd see for a Ivy Bridge 3rd generation Core i5 ULV CPU with a fast SSD drive. This has the Samsung PM830 drive in it, by the way. That's quite a good drive, one of the fastest on the market right now. So we're thrilled to see that Dell continues to use that drive and device. Has dual band Wi-Fi too, 802.11 BGN, that's Intel 6235N, and that is WiDi wireless display capable. Bluetooth as well on board. And for our Windows Experience Index with our Core i5 model, you can see what we've got here. For processor, we scored 6.9. RAM scored 5.9. Graphics for desktop performance, 5.4. And that's the Intel HD 4000 integrated graphics again. 3D graphics scored 6.4. And the SSD scored 8.1. And that is on a scale of 1.0 to 9.9 under Windows 8 for the Windows Experience Index. So again, pretty much the scores we would expect to see from a decent ULV Ultrabook. Video playback performance with 1080p video is just fine, which is a great thing because this is, well, a 1080p display, so you can actually see this at native resolution without scaling. We're going to look at our own video collection and be able to hear the speakers as well. We're at about 2/3 volume right now, and this is a 1080p high-quality MPEG-4 trailer. Speakers aren't bad for a small machine. And it plays just fine. Not bad audio at all. A little distortion there, but pretty darn good. The fan will kick on, not so much when it's playing locally stored content, but if you're streaming videos, say YouTube or something from Hulu, the fan does come on. That seems to be a thing with Dell. They build the machine so thin and tight that there isn't much room for cooling. So as Ultrabooks go, sometimes this guy can get a little bit noisy, but most of the time it's fairly quiet. Certainly if you're doing normal productivity tasks, even working with Photoshop, the fan does not roar. You will hear the fan more if you're charging it, because charging actually generates heat, and because it will run at faster clock speeds, it doesn't need to save battery power at that point when it's plugged in. So unplugged is also going to be quieter. In terms of application response to, we've got MS Office 2010 installed on here, and you can see that's how quickly it launches. That's the beauty of an SSD drive. No problem with that kind of thing. Again, love typing on this keyboard. Battery life, so far Windows convertibles have not been super duper stellar, and we're seeing between 4 and 5 hours depending on how high we have the brightness set. Since this is a 400 nit IPS display, I find I rarely need to set it to maximum brightness. So running at 50% with the ambient light sensor on, getting about 4.5 hours or so on average. Certainly not up to Windows 7 Ultrabooks without touchscreen standards, but then you are getting the touchscreen. Speaking of touchscreen, 10 points of capacitive multi-touch here. We do not have a digital pen. You can use a capacitive stylus, much like you would with the iPad, but no precise digital pen or active digitizer here made by Wacom or N-Trig. So graphic artists, take note, this is not the notebook for you. And for those of you who want to use it as a tablet, it's pretty manageable. Like I said, it's 3.35 pounds. You're going to feel that on your arm, but if you're just using this, resting it on a table or on your leg, not so bad. You can see the amount of glare that there is here on this Gorilla Glass display, though. That's, once again, it's the only drawback, but certainly cuts a slim profile. I love the carbon fiber and the ridges because you can really keep a grip on the thing. And it doesn't get too hot here. Carbon fiber does not get that hot to the touch, so that's another good point. If you're going to hold the tablet, you don't want to fry your fingers off. Unlike the Lenovo, this is just a thin frame here. It may be strong, an aluminum frame, but it's not meant to be used in tent mode, you know, like propping it up like that kind of thing. So don't do that. If you want to use it, you're going to either use it as a tablet or as a computer. And here's the view before you turn it around and just give it a push, and you can see the magnets do the job and lock it right in. The machine has a 1.3 megapixel webcam up here at the top of the display where you would expect to see it. It also has built-in microphones so you can do your video chat, Skype, or what have you. All in all, a lot like the XPS 13. I have to say, I really like it. I love the build quality. I love the soft touch finish. I love the carbon fiber. I love the awesome keyboard. For those of us who type a lot, very, very nice. 1080p IPS display, also sweet. The hinge, much as I worry about, I have to say it's kind of fun to play with. Just amazing how beautifully it works. Just well-made precision, tuned to function that nicely. Overall, nice machine. So that's the Dell XPS 12 convertible tablet. It's available now, though there's a wait if you order. It seems a couple of weeks to a month before you're going to get one of these, but still one of the nicer Windows 8 convertibles on the market. Good speed, really nice build quality. Certainly an interesting design, and as long as it holds up, we're going to like it a lot. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Visit our website for the full review, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.